Hey folks, welcome to PlayBranson, the show where you get to know Branson's entertainers better. I'm your host, Chris Meyer, and today's episode is brought to you by ibranson.com, where you can find lots of information about Branson shows and attractions. So if you're looking for the latest show schedules, be sure to go to ibranson.com. Earlier this year, we announced that we are now on the Vacations channel. So if you're in Branson, that's Channel 6 on Optimum Cable or 36-1 if you watch by an antenna. We drop new episodes every Monday and they air each night at 8 p.m. You can also find other episodes throughout the day on the Vacation channel as well. Be sure to follow us on social media or our website, playbranson.com. Our guest this week is Amber Campbell, and she's with a show called Number One Hits of the 60s over at the Clay Cooper Theater. I'm so glad to welcome her back on the show. Now, every once in a while, I'll give you guys a travel tip, and the travel tip of the day is be sure to pick up our free copy of our latest PlayBranson magazine. It is out there on racks in over 100 locations around town. It tells you all the things that you want to do in Branson. And guess what? It's free, so be sure to pick up the PlayBranson magazine. We'll be right back with more PlayBranson. Stay tuned.
There are so many things to do in Branson. You need help planning and booking all your fun. You need ibranson.com. You can find everything Branson has to offer from your computer, tablet, or cell phone. You can even buy tickets online or talk to one of their friendly Branson travel specialists. There's no sales pitches, no delivery fees, no service fees, and no waiting. It's fast and easy. Find your fun at ibranson.com. Do it all online or call 877-ENTERTAIN. That's 877-368-3782. ibranson.com.
Hey folks, welcome back to PlayBranson. And on today's show, not for the first time, but she's been here a few times before, but it's been a while.
It has
Amber
been a minute.
Campbell.
Yes.
So with
Nice
number
to
one
see
hits
you.
of the 60s.
Yes.
Number
Yep.
one hits of the 60s.
That's right. Number one hits of the 60s.
Okay.
In our 22nd season.
That's crazy.
Isn't it crazy?
And we're going to talk about that show, but we want to go way back and talk about how you got into this business and how you
Okay.
got to where you are.
Well, when I was 3, no, I'm kidding. I'm joking. No, it has nothing to do with when I was 3. But no, I started singing in church when I was just a kid and sang my first solo when I was 11 at the First Baptist Church of Circoxie, Missouri. And my sister, who was the musical director there then, she's 16 years older than me, she said, okay, you're going to have to find something else to do because you really can't sing in tune. And I said, okay. So then when I went to school, I still loved singing and I just kept doing it. So I always believe anybody can learn to do anything they really, really want to do and are passionate about. But I went on to, when I got my first one at state contest when I was a freshman in high school, I called and told my sister I was so excited. She's like, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. But so then it was pretty cool because then when I went to college in Bolivar at Southwest Baptist University, she and her husband conducted a group called Contempos. And we went to churches on the weekends and sang. And I actually got to be a part of that group. And it was sort of fun getting to know my sister that was out of the house as I was growing up. So, yeah, it was
So
really
then
fun.
she had to kind of retract her statement.
She
right?
did, and the head of the department had to sit in on my audition too, because he was like, "You're not just having this girl in this group because she's your sister." But SBU was great fun. I got to tour and go to China with the SBU chorale when I was in college, and when I was in high school, I actually got to go to Europe with the Missouri Ambassadors of Music, which was also a really neat experience. So, did a little bit of traveling that way.
So when you're at this young age, are you saying, hey, I'm going to be in the entertainment industry?
I was. As a matter of fact, it was really funny. My music teacher and my accompanist when I was in high school, I was about to graduate, and they said, what are you going to do when you graduate? And I said, well, I'm going to go to Bolivar and I'm going to get my music degree, and then I'm going to sing for a living. I want to be an entertainer. And they were like, okay. Well, you know that for every one job out there, there are like at least 2,000 people that can probably do it better than you. And I said, okay, but maybe none of them are as driven. So that's kind of what I figured. So I worked really hard, I studied, I took my classes, and then my sophomore year, I actually spent a summer down at Inspiration Point Fine Arts Colony in Eureka Springs, where people from all over the country, fantastic musicians, I mean, just incredible. I was one of 4 people there under the age of 21, and it was everybody there was getting their master's or their doctorate in opera performance is what it is.
I didn't even know something like that existed.
Yeah,
in Eureka
it's opera
Springs.
in the Ozarks. It's a big deal. And opera singers come from, like I said, all over the country just to get experience in lead roles and things like that. And it was then that I realized I really didn't want to be a music major because I really didn't. I like opera fine, but it wasn't something that I felt passionate about singing. So I came back and changed my major to theater, and so I got my theater degree and I got my music minor. And I came to Branson. I thought I would get a little experience, go to New York or LA or Chicago. And 27 years later,
You're still here.
I'm still here. I love this place though. I've really absolutely loved it. I thought I would have to go someplace else to be able to do the type of music that I like to do. And who knew that 60s rock and roll would just be a perfect niche and a perfect combination for my musical theater situation.
So you came to Branson right out of school.
Right out of school, I did.
And tell us, what was the first job you had then?
Well, the first job I had right out of school is I was an entertaining waitress on the showboat Branson Belle.
Okay.
Isn't that awesome? No, I paid my dues. I waited tables and it was fine. I did that for 2 years. And then after the second year, I decided I can wait tables in New York. So I was going to leave, but I wound up getting cast in a community theater production of Little Shop of Horrors. And it wound up being a fantastic opportunity because there were so many local entertainers that were in that show. Bucky Hurd was in the show. His wife AJ Hurd was in the show. Ken Brown was in the show. I mean, just lots of really fantastic entertainers from around town. So in which case, I had auditioned for several shows several times, and I was fortunate enough that, and I went to a Baptist college, so dancing wasn't always my first thing, you know. So I had driven to Springfield to take some dance classes. At the time it was SMSU, and now it's MSU, I guess. But I had taken some dance classes there, and I'd also done some shows at the Landers Theater and stuff while I was in college. But doing this production was really cool because the folks from Red Hot and Blue that I had auditioned for before, and they were like, "Okay, great, you can't dance." It was great.
That's a show that's got a lot of dancing.
So yeah, I mean, talk about baptism by fire. I had not even actually seen this show, but they called me in after seeing me in Little Shop of Horrors and had me audition again. And so they gave me the job. And when I watched the video that they sent home with me to practice with, I was like, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that. Like they were doing cartwheels over people's legs and everything. But it was an awesome experience. And actually, it's really interesting. Life's kind of come full circle for me because at the time, Tina Cooper was in Red Hot and Blue, and she actually taught me the dances. And I'm sure she thought I would never ever get it, but she did it. We did it. And but so now we're at the Clay Cooper Theater with our show. We've been there for 7 years, and so it's kind of neat getting to work with Tina again and see her on a semi-regular basis.
So by you being a part of what kind of the catalyst was local theater.
Yes, it was.
Kind of got you the connections. To then move on to
Yeah.
a real job.
Yeah, well, and gave me the experience. And I was not too proud. When I moved to Branson, I knew that dancing was not my strong suit. So the first thing I did was I enrolled in a dance class downtown. And it was Branson Performing Arts Academy at the time, I believe. And the instructor there was really intense. Her name was Theodora, but she was really intense about it. And I was so sad. I was taking classes with 11-year-olds, like tap classes, ballet classes. I didn't care. So I was like, I got to figure this out. I got to keep learning, you know. That's always my motto, and I still feel that way at a much more advanced age. I still feel like you can never stop learning. Just your craft and honing it. And I enjoy watching other people in other shows for that same reason. I enjoy going to see plays and musicals and things like that, just because I feel like you can never stop learning. And one of the coolest things that ever happened to me when my husband and I first took on the show in the winters, he's very connected with the Lennon Sisters. He would go on the road and conduct and direct the Lennon Sisters show when they were on the road. And so I got to go to Florida, and we would be on tour with them for a while in the winter when our show was down. And I just loved watching those girls on stage. I mean, talk about like just, and that's what I told, they said, it was cute. One day the girls said, don't you ever get tired of sitting through the show and watching it? And I said, are you kidding me? I feel like I'm getting a master class every single time I do that, you know? So that's been a neat experience to be around that kind of talent.
So you did Red Hot and Blue, but you also did 50's at the Hop.
Yes, in the same year. It was
and then
crazy.
You did Showboat Branson Bell.
I did. Yes, I did. I did the Showboat Branson Bell. It was kind of fun going back after having been on one end of the boat in the galley per se, to go to the other end, which would be on the stage. But yeah, I performed in the show on the Showboat Branson Bell for 5 seasons.
And then from there, you went to number 1 hits of the 60s.
Right. I also did a 1940s big band show called Breakfast with the Classics. That was fun. But yeah, from there I went to, and actually what's kind of strange is I had actually picked up a second career in selling vitamins. I know that sounds really weird, but you know, like all show girls were always trying to find that way to lose that 5 extra pounds or 10 extra pounds. And at the time, you know, Advocare was a big deal, and vitamins and ephedra and all that. Anyway, so I was doing that, and I had actually like tripled my income just because I did have great results with those products. I lost like 4 dress sizes and 20 pounds. It was crazy. So I stopped working on the Showboat because I thought I was going to do vitamins full time. And I'm just not a vitamin salesperson. I talk about stuff if I'm passionate about it, but not a vitamin salesperson. But so anyway, about 5 months after leaving the Showboat, I had learned that one of my friends who had been a director of music on the Showboat was putting together a 60s show for the Welk Theater. So that's when I just said, hey, would you throw my name in the hat? And he was like, really? You're interested? And I said, yeah.
Okay.
So, and it was great. I went from 12 shows a week, 6 days a week, to 6 days a week, 6 shows a week, which was great. So, yeah.
Okay, we're going to stop right here because this is a great place for us to stop, and then we're going to come back and talk more about number 1 hits of the 60s. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hey folks, welcome back to PlayBranson. We're here with Amber Campbell with number 1 hits of the 60s. And so on the last segment, we kind of heard about the transition. And so number 1 hits of the 60s goes to Welk for 1 season.
Yes.
And then it moves. And then take us from there.
Oh, I mean, goodness, you want to know all the theaters we've been at? Is that what? Well, let's see. We went from the Welk Theater out to what is now Bloom Church. So it was the Musical Palace at the time because that's what we called it. It was the Magical Palace where Kirby Van Birch used to perform. Mm-hmm. And we were there for 2 years. And then we moved to the Branson Mall for 1 season. And sometimes I think people confuse us with 50's at the Hop just because, well, I was in both shows and because they'd seen it at the Branson Mall because they were there for a long time. But we were there 1 year, and then the next year we moved to the Jim Stafford Theater where we performed there for the next couple of years. And then we moved from there right next door to the Caravel.
Yeah.
And we were there for 1 season. And that's when the previous owners decided that they didn't really want, and producers weren't going to continue with it. They just hadn't had a great success with it. So Matt and I started talking about it, and I said, well, that's fine. I guess we'll start the next chapter of our lives. What are we going to do now? What's next? And he goes, let me think about it, run the numbers. I think maybe we could take this on and make it work. So we did. We took it on and made it work, and that was 13 years ago this year.
So not only are you a performer, you're also a theater show owner.
I am. And sometimes I think if I could go back, I maybe would have double majored with business and management or marketing, business and marketing as well, because we've taken a lot on. And Matt and I, we do everything for our show. We're the complete office. So Matt does all the accounting, he does all the arranging, all the writing. I work with a costumer to create costumes. I work with a choreographer to create choreography, which I got to say, we have had some great choreographers over the years. And right now, Kelly Parrish is our show captain and choreographer, and she's done a great job.
And so for the last, 6 or 7 years, you've been over at the Clay Cooper Theater.
Yes, this is our 7th season at the Clay Cooper.
7th season. So maybe there's somebody out there that has never seen your show, has no clue what it's about. Tell them what is number one hits of the 60s.
Number one hits of the 60s. Oh, good grief. It's a roller coaster ride through the 1960s. Actually, we touch on just a smidge of 50s, not much, but a lot of 60s. And we're kind of gradually edging into the 70s as well. As a matter of fact, this is probably a great time to announce that in the future, we are going to become number one hits of the 60s and beyond. So it'll be to infinity, but always centered around 60s music for sure.
Yeah.
With that
because
kind
I
of
think,
feel.
I was not even born in the 60s, but when I've been to the show in the past, I know all the music.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of timeless music.
So we do. We touch on about 115 songs in 2 hours. There's a live band. It's a full-scale production show. There's a cast of 6 and 7, if you count my husband, who directs the band and also MCs the show and sings some. We don't let him dance or costume the show.
Yeah.
It's just so much fun. And that's what we try to say about our show all the time. It's literally the most fun you'll have in Branson. We're very audience interactive. We're in the crowd. We're having people guess, was it 50s or 60s at the beginning of the show, and giving away prizes. We are in the crowd singing to people and dancing with people and picking on people a little bit. So if you're gun shy, don't sit on the front or an aisle.
So you make it fun. You make it exciting.
It is. It is very fun and very exciting. And I mean, and who doesn't? I mean, love the music. I didn't grow up through the 60s listening to that music, but I will tell you, 22 years ago when I got the book and started learning the music, I was afraid I wouldn't know any of it, but I literally knew there were 100 songs in the show at the time. I literally knew either the melody or the catchphrase or some part of every single song in the book except for 2. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
it's timeless.
22 seasons, right?
Yes, 22 seasons, yes.
22 seasons, folks. I think that alone says something about the show, number one. And then you've gotten tons of awards. Show of the Year, 1920. They named you Branson Entertainer of the Year last year.
Just last year, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so there's a whole bunch of awards too. So they've done a lot of that.
And I was very grateful. I thought it was very nice. I know that the Branson Show Awards have given me Female Entertainer of the Year before, and just last year the Terry Music Awards gave me Entertainer of the Year. And I've got to say, it's always really nice to be recognized for your life's work. I don't mean to get all emotional about it, but it's really nice. It's just really sweet when your peers acknowledge what you're doing.
Yes. And here's the other thing I think that's interesting is you guys have been able to be successful really as an afternoon show.
Yes.
And I think that's kind of tougher.
And it started as an accident when we took on the show. Our daughter was 12, so she was at home. So we kind of liked that afternoon slot just so that we could be home for family time in the evenings and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so that was just kind of how that started. But then after she graduated high school and went on, on her own, we kind of discovered that we still really liked that slot. We liked to be done by 5, and just relaxing for the rest of the day. We work in the office all morning, and we do. We have Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays are office days for us, and then Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sundays are show days for us.
Yes, and so those shows are. Tell people where you're at again.
We are at the Clay Cooper Theater in Branson, Missouri, on Highway 76. And I got to tell you, we do 2 o'clock shows on Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, and Sundays. And so you don't even need to have a reason to come out. It is just plain good, fun. And
Now, in the past, you guys have also done what I'd call some veteran tributes. You work with groups real well and different things like that. You want to tell people about that?
Yeah, we have a really neat veterans segment in our show, and the songs that we've picked are songs that veterans over the years have told us were important to them when they were serving. And because we're a 60s show, we do have a special heart for Vietnam veterans. We feel like it's our privilege to get to say welcome home or give them the welcome that they didn't really get when they were coming home the first time. So it's fun. We get a lot of groups that come in And what we'll do is we pay tribute to our veterans every single day at the show. But when we know a specific unit is coming, we'll get in touch with their planner and we'll have them send in photos of their unit in action or back in the day. And sometimes we do then and now photos. If they've got crests or logos, we use those. But we put that up on the screen instead of the stock video that we run every day.
Yeah, that
and we
is
pay
cool.
tribute to those specific folks that are in the crowd.
Yeah.
And it's really neat because sometimes they don't even know it's going to happen. And they'll just be like, I mean, a lot of tears, a lot of tears, a lot of emotion sometimes.
Folks, I love it. I love it. That is awesome.
There are so many things to do in Branson. You need help planning and booking all your fun. You need iBranson.com. You can find everything Branson has to offer from your computer, tablet, or cell phone. You can even buy tickets online or talk to one of their friendly Branson travel specialists. There's no sales pitches, no delivery fees, no service fees, and no waiting. It's fast and easy. Find your fun at iBranson.com. Do it all online or call 877-ENTERTAIN. That's 877-368-3782. iBranson.com.
Hey folks, welcome back to Play Branson. We're wrapping the show up today. Thanks for sticking around and watching. Our guest this week was Amber Campbell from #1 Hits of the 60s at the Clay Cooper Theater. Amber, tell people once again, how can they find you?
We are at the Clay Cooper Theater. We do Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday at 2. You can call for tickets if you'd like at 417-339-1960, extension 1 for the box office. Or you can go to onehitsofthe60s.com and take a look at the schedule there.
Okay.
And learn a little bit about the cast and everything.
Okay. Folks, be sure to check out #1 Hits of the 60s. You're going to have a great time there. We're about to wrap the show up today. Be sure to like us on Facebook. Check out our YouTube page there. You can also find a lot of our episodes from the past on PlayBranson.com. Now, if you have a performer you'd like to see on the show, let us know. Send us a message. We're always looking for that new guest that you want to see, so let us know. And then when you need help planning your next Branson vacation, be sure to go to iBranson.com. You can get all of your show, attraction, and lodging needs taken care of in one spot. Just go online or call them at 1-877-ENTERTAIN. I'm Chris Meyer, and I will see you next time on Play Branson.